Good morning dear students, welcome once again. In the last class we have discussed about the nodes of this chapter: traders, nomads and settled communities, tribes, nomads and settled communities. We read about who were the tribal people, who were the tribes. Then we have noted down who were the nomadic people, right? Those who move from one place to another with their herds, cattle, animals, right? And then we have tried to learn about settled communities who were settling at a place, doing their agricultural works, practicing farms, right? So those were settled communities, homes were there, bones were there, right? Now, in question answer part, the first question of your book states, what kinds of exchanges took place between nomadic pastoralists and settled agriculturists? Mind you, I have already given you the answer during the notes also, that nomadic pastoralists were the people who were moving from one place to another, who were roaming, who were wandering from one place to another with their herds, cattle, right? So they have wool, ghee, milk as a basic source of food or as a basic source or resource, right? Now, what kind of exchanges took place between the nomadic pastoralists and settled agriculturists? So the nomadic pastoralists exchanged these wool, ghee, milk with settled agriculturists in return for grain, cloth, utensils and other products. That means these nomadic pastoralists used to give them wool, milk, ghee, etc. And in return, they used to take grain, cloth, utensils and other products from the settled agriculturists. Right? So this was the story. I don't think there will be any problem related to it. Everything is crystal clear, very clear. Moving on to the next question. Your next question states, how was the administration of a homestead organized? That means you have to tell about the administration of a homestead. A homestead, I have already told you, okay? These were the tribal groups, you can say, okay? A homestead, okay? Nomadic tribes. And administration, about the administration we need to discuss, right? So administration was centralized. What is the meaning of centralized? Will be controlled from one position. Centralized, and it will be controlled from there only, right? Like if I am going to say centralized AC is there, that means only one AC is there which can give the air, which can blow the air to whole part, okay? So the administration was centralized during the first half of 17th century. That means administration was being controlled from one position, from one place, okay? That means a king will be over there at the top, at the apex, and he will control all the groups or castes during the first half of the 17th century. Then the homestead was dependent on forced labor and were called pikes. If the question will be asked, who were the pikes? Pikes were the forced labor. Forced labor, slave people who were made to work by force, right? So a homestead was dependent on forced labor. These forced labor were called pikes. Pikes were found in which tribal group? That is also an important question. Ahoms. Ahoms was the group. Okay, Ahoms was the group in which the forced labor or pikes were there. So this state, this Ahom group was dependent on forced labor and are called pikes. Another characteristic feature of the administration of a homestead was all the adult males, all the adults served in army. in other times they were engaged in building dams, irrigation system, etc. So during the time of war, during the time of big conflict, war, struggle, adult males becomes soldiers, warriors, fighters. They fight in the army, and at other times when there was no war, when there is no conflict, they were engaged in building dams, irrigation system, building, okay, houses and all these things. That means at other times they were engaged in construction activities, and as soon as there will be a war, every adult male, they become to act as an army. Okay, clear? Another administration characteristic of a home where the society was divided into clans or khels. Okay, so this society, a home state was organized or divided into different castes called clans, different family called clans or khel. Okay, and the peasant was given land by whom? By village community. That means by village people who were rich, or by village community, we can say. Okay, so this was the characteristic feature. The peasant was given land by village community. Society was divided into clans or khels. All adult males served in army during war, and in other times they were engaged in building dams, irrigation system and other things. They were engaged in building. Building means any sort of building. They were engaged in building dams, they were engaged in dams, they were engaged in irrigation system. Okay, and moreover they were dependent on forced labor called pikes. Okay, and administration was centralized. That means one king might be over there who can control the whole territory, who can control the whole tribe, whole group. Okay, whole group of a home society will be controlled from one position by the king or by the tribal chief. Okay, Raja. Yes, so this was the characteristic feature of the administration of the home state. Another question states, what changes took place in Varna-based society? So what are the changes that took place in Varna-based society? Varna-based society, in Varna-based society, what are the changes that took place? These social changes took place in Varna-based society. Number one, the society gets divided into smaller castes or jatis. So in other words, we can say smaller castes or jatis emerged in Varnas. Smaller castes or jatis were emerged in Varnas. Okay. Moreover, jatis became the basis of organizing society instead of Varna. That means jatis became the base of organizing society. It was jati on the basis of which they used to organize society, not on the basis of Varna. Varna were used in earlier times, then the change came. Now because this Varna is again divided into smaller castes or jatis, so jati became the basis of organizing the society. Okay. Moreover, specialized artisans, blacksmiths, goldsmiths, masons, these were organized as separate jatis by Brahmanas. That means Brahmans, okay, used to organize these specialized artisans into different jatis, into different castes, into different communities, into different clans. Okay, so Brahmans divided these artisans, smiths, masons into different jatis. Okay. Another question states, how did tribal societies change after being organized into a state? That means how? What are the changes that took place in tribal societies when they got organized into a state? So these are the changes in tribal societies. Number one, with the help of Brahmanas, many became part of caste system. That means with the help of Brahmins, they became part of caste system. This was one of the changes in tribal societies. Okay. Another thing is many dominant tribes. Dominant means powerful. Okay. Dominant, one who dominates over the other, one who is more superior over the others. So dominant tribes of Punjab, Sindh and Northwest, they have adopted Islam. Islam got introduced now because many of the dominant tribes of Punjab, Sindh and Northwest had adopted Islam. So Islam has been introduced, has been reintroduced into the tribal society. So this was a major change in the tribal society when they organized into a state. Okay, these are some of the changes which came in the tribal societies when they organized into a state. That means when they were organizing themselves in proper order. Okay, when they were organized into a state, in a particular state, in a particular country, you can say. Where the Banjaras important for the economy? Here comes another question. Question is, where the Banjaras, are the Banjaras important for the economy? Yes, Banjaras were important for economy. They were very important for the economy. Why? Because of these factors. Number one, they were the most important trader nomads. Banjaras were the trader nomads, nomadic group who were the traders, right? So these were the most important trader nomads. Banjaras were important trader nomad, those nomadic people who used to do the trade. Okay, they were used to transport the grain to city markets. It was the Banjaras who were transporting the grain to the city markets, who were transporting the useful resources to the city market. When the material will be available in the city markets, then people used to take it from market. Understood? So they were acting as a major traders. They were acting as a very good trader, big trader. Okay? So they were trader nomads. Because they were traders, they used to transport the grain to the city markets. Moreover, sometimes they were hired, they were taken by big merchants, big traders, and trade for them. They will trade for them also, as well as they were hired by big merchants. Okay? So these Banjaras were hired by big merchants. These were hired by big merchants. They were taken by big merchants and trade for them. Okay, do the business for them. Merchants used to do the business for them. Okay, they were dependent on them for their business also sometimes. You can understand it in any way. Okay, so they were hired merchants. They were hired, they were taken by big merchants and trade for them. Moreover, they carried grains, they take grains on their bullock cart. They used to take the grain on the bullock cart from different area and sold it in the town. That means they were acting as a major traders, right? They used to carry the grain on their bullock cart from different areas, and then they used to sold it in the city, in the towns. Also, the transported food grain for Mughal army. They used to transport the food grain for whom? For Mughal army during military campaigns, during military war, or during military movement, during military transportation. Okay, military migration, military campaign. Okay, so in this way Banjaras were very important for the economy, for the society. How come? They were trader nomads. They used to transport grain to the city markets. Sometimes they were hired by big merchants, okay, and they used to trade for them. That means these Banjaras used to make trade for these big merchants. Moreover, they also carry the grains in their bullock carts, in their bullocks from different area, and sold them in the towns. The transported food grain, they transported the food grain for whom? For Mughal army also, during military campaign, during the time whenever required. Okay, so these are the features, these are the big features, how the Banjaras were important for the economy. Another question is, in what ways, how, in what ways was the history of Gonds different from that of Ahoms? So in what ways was the history of Gonds different from that of Ahoms, and how they were similar? This was the question. Okay, you look into the book. Okay, so in what ways they were different? First let's see the difference. Okay, so the Gonds and Ahoms, make two columns over there. Okay, you first make the two columns properly. Okay, wait for 1 minute because something got wrong in that. It's a software problem. Okay, now see, in what ways was the history of Gonds different from that of Ahoms? So I have made two columns. Difference were always being made like this: Gonds, Ahoms. That means whatever the things we need to differentiate, we write it in two columns. I have already given you lot of points regarding the difference, and similarity you will also get. Okay, so you have to find out the difference, then similarity. So these are the different ways in which, these are the ways by means of which we can differentiate the Gonds and Ahoms. The first point of Gonds, they used to live in the region of Gondwana. They lived in region of Gondwana. That's why Gond the name came. So Gonds were actually lived in a region of Gondwana. Okay, Ahoms, they migrated, they moved to Brahmaputra Valley from Myanmar, from Burma, right? So I have already told you. So from where they have shifted themselves? From Myanmar or Burma. From Burma they have migrated and settled themselves in the region of Brahmaputra region, along the region of Brahmaputra, right? So Gonds they lived in region called Gondwana. Ahoms migrated, came to Brahmaputra Valley from Burma, from Myanmar. In early times, Burma was known as Myanmar, and we in a history we take the old names, right? Whatever the name is being called at that time, that name only we will take. Okay. Moreover, bones shifting cultivation was practiced. So they used to do the shifting cultivation. Okay. In homes, they were not practicing the shifting cultivation. In fact, they were engaged with making of cannons, gunpowder, right? So they were engaged in making weapons, powerful weapons, right? So this was the difference. So these are the differences in bones and homes, right? Yes. Similarities also we need to find. You look into your book. What were the similarities between the bones and homes? First similarity. Both were nomadic tribes. Both were the tribal groups. Okay. Both were nomadic tribes. Another similarity, both society were divided into clans or khels, right? Both the society were divided into what? Into clans, into khels, smaller jatis, smaller castes called clans or khels, okay? And third similarity, both were defeated by Mughals. Both were defeated by Mughals, Gonds as well as Ahoms, because both were defeated by Mughals. That's why it was also a similarity between them. Okay, so this is about your chapter. Okay, note down your homeworks also. First question, you have to learn all the question answers of this chapter. Note it down fast, and you have to note it down. Don't wait for the notes to come. I don't think it will come, okay? Or if it will come, it will be a bonus for you. So learn all the question answers of this chapter. Another thing, what changes took place in Varna-based society? So what are the changes that took place in Varna-based society? In Varna-based society, what are the changes that took place, right? And third and last question was, in what ways was the history of Gonds different from that of Ahoms? That means how the history of Gonds were different from that of Ahoms. These are the things which you need to write. Make your assignment in a good way, in a positive way. Whenever the time permits me, I'll check your assignment. So be honest with your work. Try to learn the things and engage yourself into the learning, because very soon your examination is going to begin, and your examination will be taken, your first terminal examination, in which subjective type questions will also be there. That means you have to write the question answers also. So keep learning, stay home, stay safe, but put emphasis, put efforts in your studies also, so that you don't lag behind, you don't feel any problem in writing your answers, and read sincerely. Okay, try to make a full use of your time. That is more important, that is most important. Okay, whenever the time permits me, and if there will be any software get developed, I am going to check out your answers also. So keep writing, keep learning. In my next class, I will continue on with some different lesson, with some different topic. Okay. Till then, it's a bye from my side. Have a nice day. Have a wonderful day. Stay home, stay blessed. May God bless you everyone. Have a nice day here. Bye.